Hi, this is Paul Hoyt, the CEO of Ascending Harvest, here with my best buddy, business partner, friend, resident inventor, genius, and founder of Ascending Harvest, Shane McKenna, bringing you our daily update. Shane's going to say hello here in just a second, but we got a special format for you today. And that format is we're going to answer some of the most common questions that we get about the company and about our products, and also invite you to ask questions live. Either text them to us or post the questions in the Facebook Live post on the Ascending Harvest page in Facebook. So with that, Shane, say hello to the folks.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. This is going to be a great live cast for those of you who are watching us right now, but also to be archived because it's the frequently asked questions. It's the things that people are curious about. And we want people to ask us lots of questions because what we're doing is revolutionary and new. And it's completely understandable that people don't have a grasp on exactly what we're doing. And we would love for you to know what we're doing and how we're doing it and what we intend to do so that you can feel good about it and hopefully participate with us in feeding the world.
Well said. So today's format is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to interview Shane. Shane's going to interview me. We're going to trade questions for each other, some of which we know about, but I'm going to throw in a surprise question or two just because I like to do that, keep Shane on his toes. First question, Shane, these systems that we're intending to put in developing countries and refugee camps, what can be grown in those and what should be grown in it? What sort of vegetables or fruits, will give the most bang for the buck?
Well, that's a really great question, Paul. And what we've discovered in our research and working with Intelligent Grow Media, the patent pending technology that is really the core fundamental technology that allows everything else in the system to be possible, that Intelligent Grow Media will literally grow anything but very large plants. So will it grow a 5 or 6 foot tall tomato? Absolutely. Will it grow a long vining squash or melon? Yes, it'll do that. Will it grow small plants like lettuce and greens and things that you would normally plant in a row? Yes, it'll grow those too. And in fact, Intelligent Grow Media, and the whole reason we call it Intelligent Grow Media is because you can grow plants that need completely different growing conditions side by side. The Intelligent Grow Media works with nature's intelligence, the intelligence that's designed into or built into the plant. They cooperate with each other and combine in a way that delivers the optimal water, nutrient, mineral, and air to the roots, regardless if that plant really loves a lot of water or if that plant loves dry soil. Intelligent Grow Media works for both of those, and I'm not going to get into a lot of the technical detail around that, but we've tested it again and again, and it works. However, we can engineer our media for specific crops. And what we've done is we have researched what produce would give the most bang for the buck. So we've got a price point that we can't get below to deliver these to people in need. So if we look at that price point of how much it costs to get a system to an individual, what can they grow that will give them both the most nutrition and the most production? And some of the things that we have selected and that we're specifically designing systems to grow are things like tomatoes and squash, melons, cucumbers, eggplant, peppers. These are all plants that have that are a larger plant, and you can plant one or several in a single system, and you will get a lot of production out of these plants. And they're plants that vine out, that expand beyond the scope of the footprint of the system. So you can imagine somebody, let's say somebody has a little 20 by 20 foot courtyard. They could put 4 or 5 of these systems in and completely fill that courtyard with produce, because the produce is either trellised up or vining out along the ground, and they get a lot of production with just a little bit of material and resources. And so that was our very first products, are all centered around that biggest bang for the buck with both nutrition, space utilization, the ease of delivery, and a bunch of other design criteria that we put into these products. But they can grow anything, but there's some things that they will grow that will give them the best return in terms of nutrition and production.
I love that answer. And I may add a little bit to that. I think the plants that are going to be the most beneficial for people to grow in these systems are ones we don't even know about yet. It's a plant that grows somewhere around the world and has a tremendous amount of density with it, nutritional density with it, and it grows very quickly, that it doesn't require a lot of water. I read about one the other day, I think called a jackfruit or something like that. And I think that there's a plant somewhere in this Amazon rainforest or an Indonesian jungle somewhere that is just going to be perfect. And we're going to discover this. We're going to fine-tune the systems to be able to generate this particular crop easily and quickly, and we're going to feed a lot of world with something that we've never heard of yet. I'm really eager to figure out what that is. It's going to take us a few years of constant improvement to find that, but I think we're going to find it.
Yeah, and in Africa, in some regions of Africa, there's a crop that we don't grow here, but is very popular there, and that is horned melons. And, so people will use their local seed, and they will know what's most in demand and best for their community and for their family. And so the beauty of our systems is that we can engineer a system that will grow a specific plant, but that same system has a very broad range of plants that it will support. But once we learn what plants are being supported in a certain area or being grown in a certain area by working with farmers and aid workers and the people who are growing food themselves, we can start to design systems that are specifically and exactly tailored to their environment and the food that they want to grow and the food that gives them the best return and value in their community.
Super. Shane, your turn to ask a question.
So here's a question that comes up frequently because I mix in a lot of business circles, and one of the questions is a great business question, and it is, what is your business model?
I love this question because I've helped hundreds of companies figure out what their business model is over time. And let's talk about what a business model is. It's really a combination of a whole bunch of things. It's like a puzzle that you put together and that you're creating at the same time. There's typically 9 to 15 pieces that you pull together. One of those is what products that you offer to the marketplace. Another one is the value that you bring to your customers. What is your marketplace in the first place? Which partners are you going to work with? How much are you going to charge for your products? What do you want your gross margin to be? What are you going to have for overhead? Where your offices are going to be? Where you're going to manufacture it? All of those different things come together to build your particular business model. A lot of times when people ask the question, what your business model is, they're really asking, how are you going to make money? How are you going to make money to help the company sustain itself over time and grow itself over time? And I give a speech a lot about the importance of making a strong gross profit and a strong profit at your company so you have the money to invest in research and development, in market expansion, in hiring new staff, in all of the things that help a small company become a very large company. It takes either investment dollars or profits or both in order to continue to make the investments necessary for a system, for a company to grow. In our particular case, we're engineering our company so that we get about a 50% gross margin, which is very typical. I mean, that's the thing that you shoot for. Some companies try to get 55 or 60% gross margin. High volume companies can work with, a 40% gross margin. Even Costco tries to get a 15% gross margin on all their stuff, but they do massive, massive, massive volumes. If you're a small company like we are when just starting, 50% gross margin is the minimum target, and that's our target. So when we manufacture these things in mass, 10,000 units at a time, we'll know what our manufacturing cost is. We'll probably double that, and that'll be the price at which we offer it to charities who can then purchase it from us with their donation dollars and distribute to their communities. So that's the business model. We are a for-profit enterprise, by the way, what I would call a social for-profit enterprise, which means that we are focused on doing good. We're focused on helping as many people as we can, but doing it in a way that's responsible to the business itself so that the business thrives, so that the business can grow, so that we can continually expand and introduce our products into new marketplaces. That's our business model. We design them. They're going to be manufactured overseas. They're going to be distributed by partners, and we expect to make a profit when we do so that we can expand and help family after family after family. I was thinking the other day that if there's 1 billion people who are going hungry in the world today, if we could put out 1 billion systems, that would go a long way towards ending world hunger. And you know what? That probably only cost about $40 billion. $40 billion sounds like a lot to you and me, but to end world hunger for $40 billion, I think we can do that. I really do, and that's the model that we're focused on achieving.
There's another question, and you actually alluded to it in your answer to the business model. It's a very similar business question, and it's how do you plan on distributing? Because I think people have a hard time wrapping their head around how a couple of guys in Utah and California are going to get tens of thousands of systems into Africa. So how do we plan on distributing our products?
Yeah, and that comes through all of the aid organizations, governmental aid organizations, and charities and foundations and trusts that are already focused on serving the marketplace that is our target. So as it turns out, there are dozens of charities, dozen of 501c3s here in the United States and other charitable organizations throughout the world who are already focused on the challenges in developing countries and refugee camps. They already have feet on the street, boots on the ground, right there with the families that we want to serve. And all we need to do is get the products into their hands in a way that allows them to actually physically deliver the products to the families, maybe help them get set up. At some point in time, we also want to do some light manufacturing overseas, help us run those systems. But that's it. We are looking for distribution partners who can take our systems and actually physically put them in the hands of the people who need them the most.
You and I have visited with a number of charities, and I've been visiting with charities for the last 2 years to help us to refine our product. And once we had a refined product, not once as a charity that's dealing with hunger and poverty, not one of them has said, no, we can't use your system. The most common question from the charity is how soon can we start distributing these? Because they recognize what a important niche that these systems are filling, the ability for people who've never farmed before to grow their own food. That's literally never been done before in an inexpensive system. And so this is an opportunity to really shift the paradigm of how food is grown particularly in the third world. So let me turn it back over to you. Go ahead and throw me another question, Paul.
I'm gonna ask you kind of a follow-up question to what you said there, and which is, if we got that $1 million in today, if this crowdfunding campaign that's launching on September the 19th really takes off, and we got $1 million or thereabouts, how quickly can we begin delivering these systems in mass to the people who need them?
Really great question. So the system is already completely designed. We are ready to go to manufacturing. So we would put some of that money to work purchasing the tooling required to injection mold some of the parts. Some of that money would go towards the assembly process of those parts. Some of that money would go towards ordering all of the components. Most of the components are off the shelf. We would order those components so that we can assemble 5,000 or 10,000 units and have them ready to go. And we would be able to deliver those units in the first quarter of next year, 2019. And that is exactly just in time for the beginning of their growing season in Africa. So this crowdfunding was timed to coincide with Hunger Awareness Month and to ensure that we have systems available for the beginning of the growing season in Africa this upcoming season.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I know, Shane, you've brought lots of products to market before, and there's a time frame associated with that in figuring out where the right manufacturing plants are or assembly plants are, and negotiating that and getting samples back from them, and then finally writing the checks and giving them the releases to go ahead and manufacture them en masse. And I know that working very aggressively, that's about a 6-month project.
Right.
7 months, but having the design, 95% complete or 98% complete really kind of gives us a leg up on getting these to markets very quickly.
And the other thing is that we have established connections with manufacturers because, like you said, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a key element of putting over 100 products on the shelf. So this is definitely not either one of ours first rodeo, and we have a lot of deep connections, and we can get things done quickly when we need to.
That's right. So you talked about the upcoming growing season. I'm going to ask you another question here. Upcoming growing season starts in spring for most of the countries that we want to serve. What happens during the non-growing season? Do those countries have winter like we have it here? Are they going to have snow on the ground and absolutely freezing weather? Or is this kind of a year-round environment where these systems will go into, like Florida or California or Arizona?
That's a really great question, and the answer to the environmental factor is where we're focusing right now is sub-Saharan Africa and regions of tropical Africa. And in those areas, of course, they don't get down to freezing temperatures, at least not at the elevation where most of the people live. There's a few mountains in those areas where they can get down to cold temperatures, but those aren't where people are living. So they actually do have a year-round growing season, but plants, particularly plants that produce fruits like tomatoes and squash and melons, do not have a year-round season. The plants are what's known as determinate, and some of them are indeterminate. For example, a plant will run its life cycle, and the life cycle of a plant is kind of like the life cycle of an animal. It grows to maturity, it creates fruit to propagate itself, and then its energy gets used up in producing that fruit, and it dies off, and and then it's carried on to the next season, and there's a rest. So there are some times in the growing season when plants won't be producing. However, systems can be staggered and plants can be started at different times in order to get a year-round growing season. And there's some complications in Africa with monsoon season and rainy seasons and drought seasons. Fortunately for our system, the drought seasons are not a problem because our systems use so little water. They use the least amount of water in any farming application. But everybody is dependent on the life cycle of those plants. So there is some planning that goes into getting to year-round production, and there are just some environmental factors that prevent that. And there could also be, in certain regions, cultural factors that create issues there with year-round production.
Could a family like grow tomatoes in the summer and peppers in the winter, or something else, and kind of alternate or rotate crops throughout the year so they could have almost a year-round harvest?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can grow tomatoes in the tomato season, and then in the cooler season is when you can grow your greens. So there's always something that can be grown as long as you're not dealing with freezing temperatures. There's always something you can grow. And so in these areas that we're servicing, as we service them more and more, we'll learn more about what they do in the off season, and we may have opportunities to design systems that are adapted so they're kind of middle ground to their primary crop in the growing season and still work excellently for their cold weather crop or their off-season crop. So those are all, there's still a lot of R&D that needs to go into our technology because we don't live in Africa. And we haven't had that firsthand experience with their growing season and their crops. We've done a lot of research, and we've talked to a lot of charities, and we know a lot more than we did a few years ago. But we still have a learning curve here to go. And so I wish I had all the answers right now. I don't, but I'm confident that we will learn what we need to learn to give people the best opportunity to grow their own food.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in there and say, part of our business model is one of continuous improvement too. Once we deliver these first systems and we get, 1,000 systems or 5,000 systems or 10,000 systems in the hands of families, we are committed to doing all the research that we can, to making sure that we're staying in constant touch with those families and finding out how much water did it really take, how much produce did you really get from this plant, and what worked the best for you, what kind of seeds did you use, so we can harvest all of that information and, using the power of artificial intelligence, use that to our advantage and to the advantage of everybody else who gets the system down the road. And we also anticipate having different kind of sizes of systems too. We might have a small system for greens and a larger system for tomatoes and something in between for squash and melons, and we can fine-tune the systems for particular environments and for particular plants. So we're very excited about that. We think that delivering these first 10,000 systems is a huge milestone and something we are passionate about doing and focused and committed to achieving. But that's kind of the starting point, right? That's once you get in the market, then you're able, as I oftentimes say, get into the market as quickly as you possibly can so that you can learn the lessons that only the marketplace can teach you. And that's what we are passionate about doing.
That's exactly right. The environment, the marketplace, there's so many variables that cannot be planned for. You just have to experience them to really get the lessons out of them and to shift and adjust and improve your product.
Cool. Did you get the next question, or do I?
I'm not sure, but
I got one for you then.
Okay.
So, what happens if I'm living in a refugee camp or, somewhere where there's just severe drought or really crappy soil? What happens if I don't have really any soil at all, no hope of growing anything in the ground?
So the beautiful thing about intelligent grow media is it will grow food rapidly and with high nutrient density without any soil. And it works just like soil. In fact, in our prototyping and testing, we've taken systems that have no soil in them, only intelligent grow media, and we've been able to put worms in the system, and the worms function and do their same process as they would in soil. The natural biology that's in healthy soil is able to exist in intelligent grow media. Now, I want to put an asterisk on that claim. Is there's still some areas that we need to get some natural higher level testing done before we can make that specific claim. Things like certain funguses in the soil might not be supported in intelligent grow media, and we just haven't had the research time or dollars to dig down into those things, but that will come. But the beautiful thing about intelligent grow media is it's the only hydroponic media. It's the only one that can be combined with soil. And that soil does not have to be good soil. That soil can be pure sand. That soil can be almost pure clay. Pure clay would be a stretch, but if the soil has a lot of clay in it, if the soil has a lot of sand in it, if it's a mixture of clay and sand, if it's got a lot of organic material in it, if it has no organic material in it, all of those types of soil, any soil that wild plants can grow in, is going to be a soil that can be put in combination with intelligent grow media and get the benefit of the enhanced delivery of water, nutrients, mineral, and air to the roots that intelligent grow media supplies, and those additional trace minerals and ongoing mineral supply that soils give the plants.
I got one last question for you here. And that is, hydroponic systems in general save a lot of water. I've seen a lot of statistics that say that hydroponic farming and gardening uses 90 to 95% less water than does traditional farming. So we certainly have that advantage. How do we conserve water even above most hydroponic systems? And how is ours the one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient hydroponic system that you've ever seen?
That is a really great question. And the reason that our system conserves so much water is that it's completely contained. Now, all other hydroponic systems, they may have a lid on them, but there is air and air movement at the surface of the water that air and air movement migrates out of the system and evaporates. It uses a lot less water than watering the ground, and obviously when you water the ground, you lose some of that water to ground penetration. It ends up going down into the aquifer, but most of that water is lost through evaporation because it's at the surface. And hydroponics, depending on the system, suffers from that as well, that evaporation from water being at the surface. In our system, the water is sealed in a contained system, and the water that's delivered to the plants is delivered from the bottom up to the roots, and the surface, where air can get to the surface of our system, is actually dry, or very lightly damp. The water doesn't penetrate that far into the system, and so we don't have that surface evaporation that other systems have. It makes for a significant reduction in water usage. So in our testing, we have systems that in the hottest part of the summer, which is 100+ degrees here in Utah, in the hottest part of the summer, we're using between a half a liter and a liter of water a day per system. That's a minute amount of water. And so you can imagine if somebody's growing 6 systems, that they're not going to have to have access to more than 3 to 6 liters of water a day to care for that system. And that's actually less than a gallon of water. And so for a gallon of water, less than a gallon of water a day, they can grow a substantial amount of crops. And where the water is lost in the system, there is water loss, but that water loss is through a plant process that's similar to how we sweat. A plant transpires in order to keep the plant cool. So when it's really hot is when we use the most water, because the plants need to transpire in order to keep cool and not burn up. But what's really cool about our system is when it's cooler temperatures, we go for many days before we even have to add a half a liter of water. It just doesn't have an opportunity to evaporate like it does in other farming systems.
Well, and one thing I've learned about working with you, Shane, if there's a way to make this system more efficient, use less water, grow more plants in less space and deliver it at a lower cost, that's where your mind is focused. You're absolutely focused on making that happen. So we really do believe that our costs will go down and our efficiency will improve, over the years as we continue to go from release 1 to release 2 to release 3, and who knows, maybe sometime we'll get like, the iPhone XS or something like that. At least one new model a year. I think that ought to be a design goal of our company. At least one new model a year. We can duplicate the work that folks at Apple are doing, and they're $1 trillion company, so maybe that paves the way a little bit. We're coming to our end of our time today. I hope you enjoyed these questions. I hope that you can see that as you ask business questions of me and Shane, and as you ask system questions and questions about plant biology to Shane himself, that we have a lot of good answers for us. There's a real advantage in having people with 40 and 50 years of business experience, great experience, focusing on this project, and we are thrilled to have the opportunity to work together and make a difference in the entire world with your help. So go to ascendingharvest.com, sign up for our email list. Come join us for our kickoff party, which is our launch party is going to be Wednesday, September the 19th. You can see the invitations in our Facebook group at Ascending Harvest. We'd love to see you there. We're going to have lots of fun. We're going to play games. We're going to have a great meal. We're going to have a silent auction. You're going to meet a lot of wonderful people, and we'd like to have the opportunity to meet you face-to-face if you're in the Salt Lake City area at our launch party on Wednesday, September the 19th. So we're getting really excited now. We're, 5 days away?
Yeah,
five days away from the launch of our crowdfunding campaign, and we are fired up and pumped up. So thanks in advance for your contributions, and thanks for sharing the information about this company with all of your friends, because that's what's really going to help us out. We need to get this in front of as many eyeballs as we possibly can, and we can only do that with your support. So, Shane, at the end of each one of these sessions, we do a prize drawing and give away a free human-powered hydroponic system to somebody who has gone to our website and signed up for our list. And the way we do that is Shane gives me a number between 1 and 10,000. I plug it into this spreadsheet that I create every day and pops out the winner. Shane, what's your number for today?
So I got my random number generator here. I'm going to push generate. 6465. Let's see if you can see that. 6465.
6465. And the person who has the number closest to 6465 is somebody that has been really great in supporting our project, commenting on our videos, just being a great supporter. Gary Morales. So Gary, congratulations on winning a human-powered hydroponic system. When we get these into manufacturing, we'll send one to you, now anticipated in Q1 of 2019. And you can have one for yourself or of a friend of yours, or you can donate it to a family in need in your particular name. So congratulations, Gary. You're the winner of a human-powered hydroponic system for today.
Yay, Gary. I'm super happy for you.
All right, and we're going to be back with you on Monday where it'll be just 2 days of this before we go into our really launch day on Wednesday. So I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. We're going to be communicating with you throughout the next 3 or 4 or 5 days. Be ready on Wednesday, September 19th to contribute and share. Just be thinking that in your mind. Contribute and share. Together with you, we have an opportunity to change the way the world grows its food, and we really have an opportunity to end world hunger. I know that's a big thing, but I think we got a huge, huge chance to do just that, thanks to Shane's genius, his passion towards helping other people, and the business that we have put together. Shane, I'm going to let you say the final words and take us out.
In the spirit of today's Zoomcast and these questions and answers, I would encourage you to go ahead and ask us any question, any tough question. We want to be transparent about what we do, and we also want you to have the confidence that Paul and myself really do know what we're doing, that we have got this well in hand, and that your participation in helping us feed the world is going to be served well by the experience and the dedication and the passion that Paul and I share for this project, and those others who are coming on every day and offering their assistance. Please ask us those tough questions so that we can share with you the information that takes you to the place where you feel good about, okay, I really can support these guys. I can support this program. This is an inevitability, and I want to be part of it. So thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you so much. I can't tell you how overwhelmed I feel every day with gratitude by the number of people who step forward and say, Shane, I want to help. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much for all of your support. And with that, I'll say goodbye.
Thanks so much. We'll talk to you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.